Hi, everyone. It's me, Miss Branch, the art teacher, here with part 2 of lesson 7. So in the first part of the lesson, we drew fish and we made them smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You usually have about 7, maybe 8 fish if you did the really small ones. And your homework was to finish coloring them so that you are ready for part 2, which we're going to show space in art by gluing them and overlapping them and making them look like they are far away and some are close. All right, so everyone, let me go ahead and switch my camera so that we can get started. All right, so let me lift this camera up a little higher. There we go. So we have our fish and you have your blue strip from the other lesson, and we're going to use this piece. Now, first things first, we're going to make a wavy line across the top, and you can just cut that wavy line out. If you need to draw it, you can draw it, but we're just going to go up and down and up and down. We're going to give the illusion of water, the way the water is waves and going up and down. And of course, put this scrap in your bag of scraps. Yes, because we can probably use it later. All right, so now I want you to take your crayon and probably a brown. I'm just going to make the bottom of give it like a little horizon line under the water, you know, where the sand under the water is. So we're just going to draw a little line and not make it straight, because there's actually mountains and hills and all kinds of stuff under the water. And in lesson 6, I'm just going to go over this again, just make it a little darker. And if you want, you can just put some little ripples in where the dirt is, just some little dunes. So we have our sandy bottom of the ocean floor, or it could be a river, could be a lake. All right, so there we have that. And then our last lesson, not lesson 6, when we were learning about symmetry, one of the symmetries was called slide symmetry. Now, we didn't do slide symmetry in our last project, so I thought I would add it here. And we learned that slide symmetry is the same thing over and over and over and over again in a row, kind of like the squares on my cutting board, on my mat, on my table, or the bricks in a wall, or the tile on the floor. It's the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to just do some little seaweeds, wavy up, wavy 3. And then I'm going to do it, scoot over and do wavy up, 3. I'm going to just scoot over and do, same thing over and over again in a row. And I'm just shaking my hand. Let me bring that camera in a little closer. And let me tilt my paper so you guys can see me draw it. Wavy up, back down, 2, 3. I'll turn it upside down. Maybe that'll help. Wavy up, 2, 3. Scoot over. Up, down, over, down. Scoot over. So I'm just drawing some seaweed just to add something to the background. And we're doing our slide symmetry, where it's the same thing repeating in a row, kind of like a pattern. Like we learned in, I think it was lesson 4, we did the pattern octopus. I have to remember what numbers these lessons are in. All right, so now I'm going to lift up my camera a bit, so we can get most of this into the picture. And now we get to play around with, let's see, a little higher. There we go, a little higher. We get to play around with our fish. So let's see. I'm going to start with the smaller ones and just decide where I want them to go. I want them up, down. however you want them. I'm gonna start with the smaller ones, and I'm gonna, when you decide where you want them to go, I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue on them. That way they won't move around when I put the other ones on top of them. There's one and two and three. And so now I'm gonna take my next fish and decide where I want them to go. Well, I don't want them to look like they're in order, that's for sure. That would just be boring if you put them in order like they were steps. Oh, see, look, that one overlaps that one a bit. Oh, and I can make this one overlap. Oh, I can make these two overlap here. Then I have my big one. Now, Miss Branch did not glue her eyes on yet. You probably did when you were doing your homework, but that's, well, let me switch you here. This is why artists play around with stuff. And it's okay if it goes off the paper a bit. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty cool there. And I can make that one higher. Oh, I like that. I like it overlapping right there. And then this one can overlap right there. And I could even make this one overlap this one a little bit there. Oh, I like that. All right, so I need to glue this one down. I'm gonna put a little glue in here. So that's what you got to do. You got to play around with your artwork and see where you like it. Because as the artist, you get to make those kind of choices. You decide where it's going to go, where it's going to be, how many. There's a lot of things as artists. You make a lot of choices. And so then this one, going to overlap these. And so I was able to show space by some overlapping and size so far. And we actually got to put in some of our slide symmetry from the last lesson that we didn't do in that lesson. Let's see, there we go. So overlapping, and they're overlapping, and then we have size to show different space. There was a chart in your slide that showed you the different ways to show space. So we had, but we pretty much focused on size and overlapping. Let me see if any ones I missed. Let me look at the chart real quick. It's taking the time. My computer's acting slow. But while I'm waiting on that, let me go ahead and put some glue down where I want to put these eyes. Oh, my glue came out. Oh, I'm almost out of glue. Huh. So now let's see, of course, my big fish is getting a big eye. And then the smaller fish is going to get the smaller eye and rub a little bit. And then my next bigger one's going to get that eye. So rub a little bit and it sticks. Meanwhile, my little tiny ones, they're too far away. They're not going to get an eye because I don't have any tiny eyes. So anyway, let's see. We have our art project that shows space in art through overlapping and size. Those are two ways you can show space. There's more ways that you can show space with extra lines and other things in art. And we got to show our slide symmetry when we did this. So let me switch my pen. So everyone, that was lesson number 7, part 1 and 2, all completed. So we only have 2 more lessons left, but there might be more than one video. Anyway, so I will see you guys in the next lesson. Bye.